So we're kind of just picking up midstream on number 10. It's 250,000. 50,000 minus 5,000 is 45,000 minus 1,000 x squared. You will have a calculator for part of this test for these type of problems. dr dx, or just r prime. So big numbers, but easy derivatives. 45,000 minus 2,000x. Remember, we're setting a derivative, and we're taking a derivative, setting it equal to 0, because where there's a maximum, the tangent line slope is equal to 0. So take a derivative, set it equal to 0. 45 divided by 2 is 22.5. So that's x. But remember, the last step of these problems is always, hold off, go back and see exactly what's been asked, because what you found might not be exactly what was asked. So x equals 22.5, that's right, but what should the price of a ticket be? Well, we said the price of the ticket would be 50 minus x. So 50 minus 22.5 equals 27.5. So if our ticket price is 27.5, then we get 27.5 thousand more people in the door, and that ends up maximizing the profit.
Online it said you had written 28. Are we rounding it up?
Okay, so good question. For this one, I think 0.5 is fine because it's $1.
Yeah.
Right? So if it's like people or apartments, then we should probably round. For this one, I don't know why I would say 28, because you can have a ticket price that's 27.5. And if that means there's half of 1,000 people, well, that's fine too. You're still not dividing people up.
Well, another thing that threw me off was on the thing you had done this. You'd written 23 and 22, and you found that they equaled the same amount. What was that step about?
I think maybe I was worried about the decimal, but I shouldn't have been worried about the decimal at all. So the apartment one.
They did equal the same amount.
Yeah, but they would equal the same amount on either side of the maximum. There would be 22 and 23 for x, and x 22.5 would be that maximum spot. So if you're worried about, wait a minute, I can't have half a person or half an apartment, then you would need to check on either side and just see which one's the biggest.
Okay.
But I shouldn't have done that for this one, because we're okay with half $1, and if that means 500 people, that's fine too.
Okay. Awesome.
I don't think that's an issue on the test. I will make sure. But that is why I did that on that. There was an apartment one.
But
number.
That one is right, I thought. So could you have $50 for that?
For number 11?
Yeah.
For number 11, for each $30 increase in rent, so yeah, you could increase by 15 instead of 30. You could increase by a half a tick instead of a full step. But then you end up, you have a half a unit, and so how does that really work? And so for that one, if you get a decimal, I think you have to check above and below, see which one actually is better.
Okay.
In real life, though, if you're doing this, you probably just maximize it and just let it. I mean, this is obviously a model anyway. You don't know it's going to be exact. So in real life, you probably just go with, you round it to as close as you get and say that's close enough, because this isn't going to work exactly, right? There's not going to be exactly 27.5 or whatever it turned out to be, 27.5 thousand people there. It's going to be a little more, a little less than that. So good questions. So 11, I do need an integer answer. 10, I don't need an integer answer.
Okay. Also on 7, I got the s equals 20, but then I didn't. Did you just have to plug it into the first equation?
Yes. So 7's another one where it's just what exactly is being asked? And the profit is, what amount of advertising gives the maximum profit? So the answer is S is the amount of advertising. So when you get S for an answer, that should be the answer. Is my key online? Does it tell me what P is? Well, let's just work that one. P prime would be 20 minus S. This is like the most straightforward optimizing problem you could have, right? It's like it gives you the equation. It's easy to take a derivative. It's easy to set it to 0. S equals 20 is the spot that would give us the maximum. Although we forgot to do this on the last one, I could double check that. The second derivative would be -1. Negative means concave down. So yes, S equals 20 is a maximum. What amount of advertising gives the maximum profit? S is the amount spent on advertising. I guess it does say in hundreds of dollars, so I guess if I could be, I would need to say 20 times 100. So officially I'm going to spend $2,000 on advertising.
Okay, that's right.
So that's maybe the trick on this one is S is in hundreds of dollars, and then when we ask what amount, well, either say $2,000, which would be an acceptable answer because it's technically correct. You know, it sounds kind of funny. The answer is $2,000. Other questions?
For 12, doesn't you have to do both? Like, isn't it like both?
So 12 is worded weird. I'll give you that. So the profit's going to be 28, and then we're going to either increase or decrease. At the current rate, or at the current price, we're selling 75,000. It writes it both ways to indicate that this could work either direction. Like if we increase the price by $1, then we sell less. If we decrease the price by $1, then we'll sell more. So you don't have to do both. You just pick one. Let's see. I'll write it the first way. For each additional dollar the company charges, it's 28 plus X, it tends to lose 1,000 customers per week. Now, it might work out that X is negative, and so instead of increasing the price, we'll actually decrease the price. That's what this whole second statement is. For each dollar the company subtracts from 28, it gains. Basically just says this will work either direction. X can be positive or X can be negative. We don't even know which way it goes. You can set it up either way, and then you have to be careful because if you're comparing with a friend, you might get X equals positive 3 and they have X equals negative 3, but if they set it up differently, you should still land at the same spot with how much should they charge. That should be the same answer. Number 3 on the worksheet we're going to do today is this same kind of thing where you don't really know, well, should we charge more or should we charge less? Like, I don't know where I am on this curve. And it's like, well, it doesn't matter which way you think you need to go. Set it up one way and see what happens. All right, let's take a few minutes to work on this. It's not a quiz, it's a group worksheet thing.